All Blacks versus Scotland, guys. Ooh, hell of a battle. Just let me get my breath back a little bit there, eh? Usual review video, so I'll cover 4 areas in this video. I'll give you an overview of the test, analysis of both sides, key players from the game, and then finally stick around to the end and I'll give you a sort of summary of the match. I think firstly, if you look at an overview of the test, boy, oh boy. Quite a contrast in that first half from the All Blacks versus the Ireland game. The All Blacks, started terribly in Chicago, but, much more clinical in this first half, and particularly a pretty good break up the middle, and then a pretty good offload from Josh Lord to Cam Roigard, sort of pretty quickly in the game to give the All Blacks a good lead, and then taking the advantage to 10-0 and then another try just before half-time to Will Jordan. And yeah, look, I thought 17-0 half-time, I thought game was going to be pretty comprehensive to the All Blacks. And I had my Scottish mate with me and he thought the same. He thought, shut up shop, it was going to be a comfortable victory to the All Blacks. Yeah, very surprising that second half. Sort of came out and, there's that knock-on off the kick-off, and then Scotland just sort of started to click, didn't they? And that sort of maul try with a yellow card to Artie Sevilla, again, momentum to Scotland, and then again they capitalised on that. Another try, and then, the game went on, and then obviously Wallace Atiti put his arm out. Again, pretty basic errors by the All Blacks under pressure, which for a team of their calibre, we expect a lot more from them under pressure. And so 3 yellow cards, that's not acceptable, and really put them under pressure, which is pretty understandable. You look at Scotland in that second half, and geez, they had the All Blacks on the ropes, and 17 all, sort of 69 minutes to go. Game's in the balance, but I just sort of felt, again, that the bench coming on for the All Blacks and those key moments towards the end. Obviously, that pretty magnificent try to Damien McKenzie on the left wing. Frickin' heck. He swung round and dived over the line, but I'll get to him later. And then obviously that pretty good kick by him under pressure from around about the 40-metre mark. Look, history is history. A win to the All Blacks, 25 points to 17, but I don't think it really truly reflects how close this game was. It was in a knife's edge, and certainly I'll get to both sides, but could have gone either way, and a good win in the end too, the All Blacks. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, please support the channel. Chuck some banter down about the All Blacks and Scotland game down below. Hit the subscribe button, like, and feel free to share with mates. Firstly, I think if we analyse both sides, so firstly, if we look at the All Blacks, the first point I'd say, again, it's such a good start. 17-0 at half time. It should have been shut up shop. And I said to my mate, if this was a well-drilled Springboks side, the calibre and the mental toughness that they have, which we expect off the All Blacks, it would have been probably a 30 to 40 point victory to the Springboks. But again, discipline. 3 yellow cards to Leroy Carter, Artie Sevilla, and Wallace Atiti throwing his arm out like that. Yeah, really bizarre, and it's not uncommon. It's a bit of a theme to when the All Blacks are put under pressure that they just don't seem to make the decisions that they'd like to. I think that the positives, again, that All Blacks defence, I thought they moved up. They were physical. They worked as a unit particularly well. And their cover defence, particularly Scotland had them on the ropes, and the way they covered out to the right wing, and that try-saving tackle by Cam Roigard on the Scottish winger, Darcy Graham in the corner to knock the ball out of his hands was pretty spectacular. So give them some credit there. And I think the attack, the structure looked a lot better from the All Blacks, a lot more disciplined. Phase play was better. I think from me though, I thought there was a couple of times where they sort of went short. Will Jordan ran a line when I thought that the ball should have just gone out wide. So I think they'll have to keep working on that on attack. It's that balance between up the middle and then when they've got that space out wide, shift the ball out wide. I still think that's the strength of New Zealand rugby. I think they're probably shifting the ball, particularly on counter-attack and phase play. I think they're the strongest side in the world at that. So they've got to use their strengths there. And again, it was positive to see for the All Blacks, the likes of Pasiola Tosi, Damien McKenzie, that physicality and power from Pasiola Tosi and Damien McKenzie with his elusive speed and kicking game was really made quite a significant impact to the All Blacks. I think you look at Scotland, and again, my mate, he kind of said to me it was like the big brother, little brother analogy. He just sort of thought that when the pressure came on and the opportunity for Scotland to beat the All Blacks for the first time, he just thought that they just didn't quite believe in themselves enough. And the other thing he thought was, and I agree, they just needed more patience. They've got to build that phase play and then execute. If they're going to beat the All Blacks, it needed to be an 80-minute performance, not 30 minutes of glory. So he thought it was the best chance for Scotland in the last 8 years. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. 3 yellow cards to the All Blacks against Scotland. I mean, it was a great opportunity for Scotland. Personally, I thought the best chance Scotland had in the last 3 games was back in 2022 when the Scotland side were winning by 9 points with around about 30 minutes to go. From me, I thought that was shut up shop for the All Blacks. But yeah, 17 all with 69 minutes in, it was definitely anyone's game. The other thing I thought about the Scotland side, I thought their game plan was wrong. I thought they should have come out and brought that real physicality from the start. Bash the All Blacks up front, and then after 4 or 5 phases up the middle, shift the ball into space after putting some pressure on them. I think you sort of saw that in their first half, and there was sort of a perception from the Scotland side that their forward pack didn't have the players to bash up the All Blacks forward pack, but I think you saw in that second half they did. So I would have liked to seen them just bash them up, shift the ball into space and execute from there. And I think that's what we'll see from this England side next weekend. And Finn Russell, look, definitely on his day, he's the best first 5 in the world. So, that 50-22 he got was magnificent, his game management. But anyway, I'll get to him in due course. Key players from the game, look, I'll be the first one to say, Damien McKenzie, he's copped a lot of criticism. I've given him a bit of flack last year for some of his performances, but he was just outstanding. I think these big games, it's come down to certain players that have basically won the All Blacks the game. I think if you look at 2022, it was TJ Perenara. This game for me was Damien McKenzie. Big moment, that 50-22 in the corner, that was a hell of a kick, wasn't it? Out of nothing. And then that try at left wing, far out, about 2 players putting pressure on him, and he managed to fend them off and then dive over. Hell of a try by him, and then obviously that kick to seal the game from the 40-metre line was a hell of a kick. So hell of a performance by Damien McKenzie in this game. Ardie Savea, yeah, look, his ball carrying was good. Certainly the big moments, a couple of turnovers there, the physicality that he brought. The leadership, I thought was good when the pressure was on. I thought he led the All Blacks well. Obviously, he was disappointed. We would have been disappointed with his yellow card, but a good performance by him. Leicester Fainga'anuku, again, I'm interested to know your thoughts on him down below. Certainly his ball carriers were very strong, and he's hard to get on the ground, isn't he? A couple of times, I think he's got a bit of developing to do to test match level. A couple of times, I sort of thought the Scotland side got on the outside of him, and there was a couple of tackles I thought he should have come up a couple more metres and taken the Scottish players' ankles out and just stopped that Scottish attack then and there. But he'll certainly grow and develop from that. Beauden Barrett, look, his kicking, his game management was strong. A good performance from him. And then I think, you look at Scotland. Again, Finn Russell, on his day, he's the best first 5 in the world. And particularly the thing I'd say about him, I think he's well underestimated with his leadership and game management. He is a serious leader of that Scotland side now, particularly his game management, passing, the attack structure, the defence structure. Yeah, very key player for them. Darcy Graham was the other one. I thought he was good. The raw speed he has, the ability to shift and He's a real attacking threat, and I thought he was good for Scotland. Look, in summary, a hell of a test match. Could have gone either way. It's 69 minutes in, 17 all. But yeah, I think it came down to the big moments, and I just thought that Scotland needed a little bit more patience in big moments in this game, and the All Blacks were able to take their opportunities when available. Ultimately, it goes down a 25-17 win to the All Blacks, but I don't think that scoreline reflects the result and how close this game was. Hell of a battle. Anyway, I might go get some sleep shortly. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Chuck some banter down below. All Blacks versus England next week. Hell of a battle ahead. Cheers.